Hey everybody, this is Jan Romano coming to you from the Woburn Career Center, and I'm just going to go over a little bit about pivot tables in Excel. I know everyone thinks that pivot tables are difficult, but they really are not. It really depends, of course, upon the amount of data that you have in your Excel spreadsheet. But what I'm going to do is bring up an Excel spreadsheet that shows stores, products, units, and sales reps. And we are going to take that information and we are going to look at it and decide what we might want to gather from it. Because you can do just a simple sort, even filter, and subtotaling is always great to do, but a pivot table actually will give you the information and narrow down exactly what you're looking for. So you can see that Albany, Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, and so forth, these are the stores. The products that are sold, keyboards, monitors, USB drives, etc., and how many were sold, and what sales reps sold them. So maybe you want to organize this data and find out how the stores have been doing. Maybe there's a contest, and whichever store sells the most of anything will, get a new makeover. Whatever sales rep sells the most will also maybe win a trip. Whatever product that we're selling the least of, maybe we have to do a little bit more marketing. So those are the types of things that you might be interested in learning from or getting from this Excel spreadsheet. So the first thing I'm going to do is click inside the database, and I'm going to click up on the ribbon on Insert, and then the first button on the left is Pivot Table. Now this dialog box will pop up, and this dialog box can be moved, but it says select a table or range, and Excel already knows because my mouse is in this data right here and there are no empty columns and no empty rows, that it knows that it's absolutely A1 through absolutely D32. Then as a default, Excel wants to put the pivot table in a new worksheet, and I may decide that I want to put this pivot table in this worksheet. So I've decided to click right here on Existing Worksheet and click on Location. Now I can move this out of the way and show it where I'd like to put the information, and I'll just click right here in cell F2, and then I'll click OK. And what happens now is the grid for the pivot table pops up, and over here on the right hand side, take a look at the pivot table fields, and these are the fields that are from my database over here on the left hand side. So right now if I click on Store and I click on Units, look what I can see right away. I can see all of my stores and the totals and the grand total. I might click in this column and decide to sort it. So I'll come up here to the Data tab and click on the button A to Z, and that will sort these. Now lowest to highest, so I can see that Rochester sold the most, and this is the amount of units of products sold. So that's a pivot table, and I can always add to this pivot table. For example, if I would like to add product, I come over to the right hand side and I click on product, and now I get to see in each store which products were sold and a subtotal. And on the Design tab up on the ribbon, if I click on the Design tab, you will see that I can certainly take these colors and so forth and apply them to my pivot table, which maybe will make it a little bit easier for me to read. And so I can see here that the stores are in blue and the totals are also in blue. If I don't like using those colors, I can certainly choose other colors to help me look at my data. Now, the pivot table that I'm going to be using here, I can also pivot the information. And what does that mean? That means I can make a top level filtering for my pivot table. So if I look on the right hand side where my mouse is, you can see that it says Store and Product, and I'm going to take the word Store and drag it right into this box that says Filters. Notice what happened over here now in these cells. Store is at the top, and if I click the down arrow, maybe I'm the manager of the Rochester store, I can click on Rochester and then click OK. And that will filter out my data and only show me, in this case, the Rochester store. So over here on the right hand side, if I decide to put stores in columns instead, notice the stores go across in columns. If I decide to put store back down here under product, it means that now my stores will also be shown with my products in the rows. I can come over here to the right hand side and click on products and put that in filters. And again, look at the top. I can filter out by product. So if I want to see what stores are selling memory boards and how many they're selling, I can click on memory boards. I can now see in Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo that they are selling and how many they are selling, and then the grand total as well. So on the right hand side, these pivot table fields, you're able to move your field names under filters, columns, and rows. So I'm going to put this back, products, I'm going to put it back to the right and put it in columns, and you'll be able to see, if I scroll to the right, you'll be able to see, of course, all of my products and all of my stores and what is sold in each one. Now I can come back over here to the right and I can take off, for example, products, and it's showing me again when I first started. I can have as many pivot tables as I want. For example, I can click back over here in this database. Again, insert pivot table. I'm going to put it in the existing worksheet. And it's best to put it under, so I'm going to click right here in location and then click where I want it to be and then click OK. Once again, I'm going to get my field names on the right hand side, and this time I'm going to look for sales reps and units. And now I'll be able to see, and why don't I put these in ascending order as well. So I'll go back to my data tab and click my ascending order button, and I can see Connor is selling the most. I don't know what products they are, but I can see that maybe he's won the prize or she's won the prize for selling the most products. I can come over here to the right and click on products and now be able to see each sales rep and what products they sold. Remember, the sales reps and the products are down in rows, so maybe I'll take the sales reps and put them in columns on the right hand side here, and then it will stretch out my pivot table. So my pivot table can show me in columns all of my sales reps, and on the left all of my products. Now I prefer to do it the other way. I can certainly switch them. So now I have two pivot tables with my original data on the left hand side. Now one last thing about pivot tables is that if you change, for example, keyboards in Albany, this number for Winters is 100. If I change that, for example, to 500 and hit enter, the numbers in the pivot tables do not automatically change. So I'm going to show you that Albany still says 470, and so now I'm going to go up to the Analyze tab, which pops up when I'm in a pivot table, and I'm going to show you that there is a refresh button. This refresh button, when I click the down arrow, I can refresh all pivot tables at once, or I can refresh each pivot table separately. I'll click on refresh all, and it will refresh all of the numbers, and now Albany is 870 because of this new number. And if you look here, this was Winters, and if I scroll across and take a look at Winters, the number has gone up. And remember, this was, I changed keyboards, so if I look at keyboards, you can see going across at Winters 536. Now why does it say 536? Because Winters is actually over here twice selling keyboards. If I sort this by ascending order, you'll see by me scrolling down I have Winters and in Albany and Winters in Albany. So that's the total of his or her sales. Well, I hope that was helpful. I want you to realize that pivot tables are quite easy to use, and you can certainly use those within Excel with more complicated spreadsheets or simple spreadsheets like we've just used. Next time, maybe we'll look into VLOOKUPs and if functions, so to help you with these advanced features of Excel.